And if Michelle, so last day of the year. Our master used to say that we should live life with wisdom. So, wisdom is the result of coming from the intellect. But the Eastern wisdom, that is what we say the knowledge, is an instrument of knowledge that discovers our real nature. Now understand, I'm just giving you, I recall one beautiful metaphor. So, Eastern wisdom is an instrument of knowledge that helps us to discover our real nature. And that real nature is always full of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. Now, Eastern wisdom, as such, with all their principles and the knowledge, is known as the mother of intellect. You see the metaphor, you'll be amazed to see their uh, their level of genius. So, how the mother treats the baby when they are born and as they grow up. Not this. Why you are putting everything into your mouth? Leave it is. Huh? We know. We have that knowledge. And who is the father then? Father is the existence. Now see the metaphor. Existence, the entire existence, is the father that offers us an opportunity to evolve. Whether you have problem, you can evolve. You have pleasure, you can evolve. So who teaches that? How to evolve? Eastern wisdom. To whom it teaches? To our intellect. What is that intellect to the Eastern wisdom? Baby to the mother. Ah, thank you, Michelle. How are you? How are you, Michelle? Welcome. So, see that. Now, see, if the intellect as a baby listens to the mother, that is the knowledge. What is that knowledge? To find my real nature. Where to find that my real nature? In the world, everywhere, in the existence. Now, this baby, as you know, that the baby are like almost we were babies. So we used to put everything into our mouth. So the intellect takes everything into the mouth, whatever comes from the mind. And that is the problem. Before going further, understand another concept, principle. So we say in Sanskrit, Janati, Ichhati, Karoti. Janati, knowledge, know it, means acquire the right knowledge. From whom? What is the instrument of right knowledge? Intellect. Janati, that is the first word. Second word is Ichhati. Ichhati means desire. Where the desire pops up? In the mind. And then karoti, then act on it. Janati, ichhati, karoti. Know what is exactly is the journey of meditation. Oh, meditation is just closing your eyes, focus on the breath, listening to this beard guy, getting bored. No, that is not the knowledge of meditation. Meditation reveals the knowledge of reality. Once we keep the right knowledge in the mind, in the intellect. Now, what the mind says, oh, I have been stressed, let me relax. Relaxation is a byproduct of meditation. You don't have the right knowledge, so you pursue the wrong knowledge. Mind says, okay, let us relax. So you relax for 5 minutes, and after a few hours, again the anxiety and the reaction and the stress returns. Do you see that? The role of intellect, mind desires, you are acting on it. So, what happened in this case? The mind took over the intellect. Or you can say you are pursuing the wrong knowledge. Clear? So, when you pursue the wrong knowledge, the mind says, okay, let us relax, close your eyes. I'm relaxed. What a beautiful meditation. After a few minutes, again, we are in stress. Our goal is not to discover the reality. Today is the last day of this year, so I thought better to put up. Now, keep in your mind knowledge of reality. When you have that knowledge of reality, then what happens? All the time, then the intellect says to the mind, follow it. So you have a desire to know my real nature. Otherwise, what the mind says? Mind says, get some pleasure. That is okay. That is what our life is: pleasure, pain, fear, expectations. Every day you see that. This is what the linear movement of the mind. Meditation takes us to the multi-dimensional, because Michelle is a researcher and a scientist, so I have to speak something of scientific manner to, to make it understand. So meditation takes us to multi-dimensional consciousness whose attributes is truth, knowledge, that is wisdom. Now just pick up the two only. Can truth be present with the wrong knowledge? And if the truth is not there, then you cannot be in peace and happiness. Without right knowledge, can there be truth? And without truth, can there be knowledge? We are listening a lot of things, alternative truth, feud, words nowadays in our country. I'm not going there, but in this context, think of it. Think of it. First, now see the other part of it. Intellect has a right knowledge, then it has the truth. Now, intellect and the action, if they go together, bypassing the mind that is causing the anxiety, duality, and suffering, you are bound to discover the reality. Am I clear? I'm just talking of these principles of Eastern wisdom. Now, if the mind dictates the intellect on one hand, intellect says, okay, if you're asking me to eat pasta again and again and again and again, let me eat it. Habitual, any habit, any impulsive. Why don't you listen to me? That this expression also becomes my habit, coming from the mind, dominating the intellect. Should I tell you another secret? Once you maintain that awareness of the secret, the life will be full of joy. This knowledge is like a person who is handicapped, who cannot move, who cannot take a step. Both the legs are paralyzed. Knowledge doesn't move anywhere. Knowledge is knowledge. Did you understand? And the action, practice or action in our life is blind, is a person who is blind, who cannot see it. Because it cannot see it, you have to put the knowledge into an action, into the practice to succeed in meditation. My master used to tell a story that there were two people. One was blind, but he has good legs, he can walk, and the other person was handicapped, but he has perfect eyes. So what he did, the guy who has a perfect eyes, he sat on the shoulder of the person who is blind but have perfect legs. That is the journey of knowledge and practice. That is why I always do gossip every time we meet. Gossip means I invoke those principles so that you understand, you have a right knowledge, so that the mind which is moving with the wrong knowledge, wrong ideas, wrong notion, that should drop. So the right knowledge and the action and the practice go together and we succeed. So, what is this wrong knowledge? The mind, through the sense organ, by default, creates likes and dislikes. And that likes and dislikes causes the attachment. So, the first factor is object, any object. Second factor is attachment and detachment. So that attachment is there. What happens? The mind has a desire. Now the intellect is not there, the mind is there. The mind is continuously desiring. The intellect does not pass on the right knowledge. So this desire pushes the mind on one hand, pushes the intellect on one hand, and our hands, our feet, our tongue, they are motor organs. Come on, come into action. Realize this desire. But intellect as a baby, given knowledge by the Eastern wisdom that happiness is outside. Mind says, no, it is in pasta. For example, I give all kinds of pleasure is pasta. You see that? Understand that point. Very important. So the mind says, no, pleasure is in the object outside, in a person outside, or maybe in the honey outside. Anything. Maybe physical pleasure, pleasure from food, or pleasure for having, accumulating the wealth. Is it right knowledge? Is the happiness in the pasta? So intellect is not invoked. So the mind says, come on, take that action. Mind takes the action. We get a pleasure for some time, we forget it. So what is this known as? The fourth factor: object, attachment, desire. So how do you explain that? The mind claims that the pleasure is in pasta. It is not. It appears true, but it is not. It is the delusion. This is what we say. The fourth factor is the delusion. And before that, let us take another two more factors. So if I'm attached to you, I'm seeking pleasure in you. So that is pleasure. And if I dislike you, I want to keep a distance. So that is what our master says: anxiety, hesitation, anger, etc. So object, attachment or detachment, then desire, then anger or anxiety, or if I like pasta again and again, there is a sense of greed. And then comes the delusion. After the delusion, what happens? Can you think of it? I'm in delusion. I come to your house and you offer me chicken, and I say, I like pasta. Delusion. Delusion. We have 1 million expression like this. You go to a friend's house, a friend, oh, what a guy. No, you are very good. You see, both expression comes from the mind because right knowledge is not there. So what happens? Then my mind lives with that wrong knowledge, wrong notion, wrong idea that this guy is a crazy. What I have to do with you are crazy or not? Let the mind be clear. Let the mind be clear and clean. Today is the last day of the year. That's why I'm talking little deeper. So what happens? That wrong perception, wrong notion, wrong knowledge takes over the intellect completely, and the knowledge is destroyed. And when that right knowledge is not there with me, then what happens? Suffering, suffering, and suffering. Problem, pain, pleasure. Now, how it is possible? Okay, just see one example, the same thing. The mind is craving for pasta, you don't give pasta. So is the pleasure is present in the pasta? Or the pain is given to you by the pasta? No, it comes from inside me. These 8 factors destroys our life. We have to destroy all these 8 factors to discover the beauty of our life. That is why we practice meditation. You see that? Pick up this. So John was saying, no, I like it because you talk of through the reasoning. Without reasoning, the intellect cannot be made pure. But reasoning in a proper direction, with reference to the principle. Intellect is able to separate what is wrong knowledge and what is right knowledge. And then pass on that knowledge to the mind, then practice. Every step, every practice will take you to the higher and the higher step. Intellect. It destroys the intellect. Our master says that once we live into that delusion, see another way for a few minutes and then we'll do the practice. Normally, we hear from the younger generation. When we were young, sweet 16, we already have this. I love that guy. I have a, what we say, I have a crush on him or her. So now think of the right knowledge. Is the crush coming from the sense organ? One. Does the sense organ, my eye goes to that person whom I have a crush? Eyes remain as it is. Eyes are neutral. Neutral means what? Eyes changes the object having the name and the shape and the color. Eyes are neutral. Same thing, all the five sense organs of knowledge are totally detached. Now see that. We start the journey because you are attached. That's why you have a desire. That's why you have a greed. That's why you have an anger. That's why you enter into delusion. You have a wrong knowledge. It destroys your intellect, and that is why you practice meditation. So what happens? Did I tell you the story? Do you remember the story? The blind knowledge is actionless. Action is blind. Remember this, and now come to it. Every sense organ of knowledge is always free from attachment. Because of the wrong knowledge, we have the 8 factors. How can you say that? Yeah, we must understand that. How can you say that? Including the mind is always detached. How can you say that? Okay, let me give you an object of attachment and hold that in your mind for 5 minutes. The mind changes the thought, mind changes the object. The eyes are constantly changing the object. They cannot stick to one object. You cannot hold on. Can you hold on any thought for an hour? The answer is no. They are always free. We made them slave because of the wrong ideas and the notions. Because of thinking, because I imagine that I have a crush on you, and hence you really have a crush on. What happens in deep sleep? You really have a crush. This is how our masters teaches us. Live your life in freedom. Crush means attachment, bondage, suffering. That's how I explained. First, you have a crush, then you have a dating, then you have a soulmate, and after a few months, it becomes sourmate. See the entire process of the mind. Have no, no. How can I say? Have you ever experienced this? No, I will not say that. I will not say that. Why should I say that? You have to find out. You have to find out. The problem is, other is not bad or good. This crazy mind is causing because of these eight factors. Because I'm looking peace and happiness outside, but it is inside me. So you say some people, when they come to me, I always like to prevent and hold on. I say, no, divorce, before you divorce, I have to talk to you. If you hire me, I had a couple here, they why called you because of I said divorce. You have already taken a decision. Why should I then enter into both of you, in between both of you? Once you keep aside that and you understand everything, then I am ready to take up both of you. So they did 5 or 6 sessions about 3 years ago. Then they stopped. They never thought of the divorce. Then they sponsored my 2 programs. They are paying me. I asked them how you both are wonderful. It is not me, it is the very knowledge in the intellect must be implanted, must be installed. That knowledge is known as the Eastern wisdom. That is the instrument of knowledge that aims at self discovery. I have talked a lot. So, in this New Year's Eve, anything happens in your life, any form of anxiety, duality, conflict, sit down. Keep the mind aside, means keep all the thoughts aside. See what is that knowledge, right knowledge that can help me drop the delusion in the mind. If the mind says other is responsible for my suffering, drop this. Rethink. And you will see when the intellect is clear, the mind, ask the mind to follow it. Don't create some ego sense. You need to say sorry to get the things done, say sorry 100 times. And I have seen in my life, even in the members of my family, when I see that they have done wrong and they ask sorry from me, I say sorry. What a big deal. Calm down. And knows. And knows everything about me. It is very important. Why? It is the delusion that creates an ego sense. The delusion creates an ego sense. So let us promise to yourself from the new years, you don't live in the delusion with the wrong ideas, and then you allow the mind to practice meditation. Let us start our journey. Close your eyes.